I will never forget the look in her eyes. They were glowing, not like the moon, but like fire. She smiled as I screamed. It started when I was just a boy. My father was a hunter, and we lived near the edge of the forest. People from the village called it the cursed forest because strange things happened there. Animals went missing. People got lost and never came back. One night, a man came to our house. He wore fine clothes and carried a spear, but his face was pale and his hands shook. He said the king wanted my father to hunt for him. My father didn't want to go, but he couldn't say no to the king. The next morning, we went to the palace together. It was huge, with tall walls and golden doors. The king sat on a throne, but he didn't smile. His daughter stood beside him. She was beautiful, but something about her felt wrong. Her name was Princess Zahara. She was the youngest of the king's children, but everyone said she was his favorite. People whispered that she wasn't like other people. They said she didn't cry as a baby and never got sick. They said she could speak to animals and make them obey her. The king told my father he wanted the biggest lion in the cursed forest. He said it was for a feast, but his voice shook. My father agreed, and we left the palace. As we walked home, my father was quiet. "Do not trust the princess," he said. "Stay away from her." The next day, my father went into the forest with his hunting party. I stayed home with my mother. Days passed, then weeks, but my father didn't return. One night, someone knocked on our door. It was a guard from the palace. He said my father was missing, and the king wanted me to go to the forest to find him. I didn't want to go, but the guard didn't give me a choice. He took me to the palace, where Princess Zahara was waiting. She smiled when she saw me, but it wasn't a kind smile. "I will help you find your father," she said. Her voice was soft, but it made my skin crawl. She led me to the edge of the forest. "Your father is deep inside," she said. "Follow me." The forest was dark and silent. Even the birds didn't sing. As we walked, Zahara began to hum. It was a strange tune, and it made my head feel heavy. "Stop humming," I said. She laughed. "Are you scared?" I didn't answer. We walked for hours until we came to a clearing. In the middle of it was a lion. It was the biggest lion I had ever seen, but it didn't move. Its eyes were open, staring at nothing. "Is it dead?" I asked. Zahara didn't answer. She walked up to the lion and placed her hand on its head. Then she looked at me. "Do you want to see your father?" she asked. "Yes," I said.
She smiled again, but this time, her teeth looked too sharp. She pointed to the lion. "Look closer." I didn't understand, but I stepped closer. That's when I saw it. The lion's fur was wet with blood, and in its mouth was my father's arm. I screamed and tried to run, but Zahara grabbed my arm. She was stronger than she looked. "Your father is gone," she said. "But he gave me a gift before he died." "What gift?" I asked, shaking. She pointed to the lion. "This." I told him to bring it to me, and he did. He said it was for the king, but I knew the truth. It was for me. "You killed him," I shouted. She laughed again. "I didn't kill him. The forest did. And now, you will stay with me." "No," I yelled. I don't remember how I broke free, but I ran as fast as I could. Zahara didn't chase me, but I could hear her laughter echoing through the trees. I made it back to the village and told the elders what happened. They didn't believe me at first, but then the king came. He was pale and trembling. "She's not my daughter," he whispered. "She's something else. I found her in the forest when she was a baby. I thought she was a gift from the gods. But she's cursed." The villagers went to the palace with torches and spears, but Zahara was gone. The king said she fled into the forest, and no one ever saw her again. To this day, people say the cursed forest belongs to her. They say if you go too deep, you hear her humming, and you never come back. I believe them.